The laughter echoed through the grand halls of the Galactic Senate. Hundreds of alien leaders, tall and short, scaled and furred, bright-skinned and dark-eyed, sat in their seats, watching a giant screen in the center of the chamber. On the screen, shaky footage showed broken Earth cities, burned-out buildings, crushed roads, a child crying under rubble, and a single human flag torn and half buried in ash. "Is this what they call a species of warriors?" said high-voiced Krell of the Zoran Empire. His long silver tongue flicked out in amusement. "They couldn't even protect their own moon base." Another laughed, sipping glowing yellow wine. "Humans are weak. They should thank us for ending their misery," added a third, his voice cold and sharp. The halls roared with laughter again, but not everyone laughed. At the edge of the chamber, in the seats of the junior academies, sat a young alien cadet named Rylix. She was from a small desert world, training in diplomacy and military studies. Unlike the others, her eyes stayed fixed on the screen, not to mock it, but to study it. She leaned closer. "Why show this now?" she whispered to herself. Her friend Gino, sitting beside her, chuckled. "Because it's been 2 cycles since Earth fell. It's tradition now, Human Defeat Day." Rylix frowned. "But why haven't we heard of any Terran warships surrendering? No sign of their fleets. Only small scouts? Always running." Gino raised a brow. "Does it matter? Their homeworld is broken." Rylix didn't answer. She stared at the flag on the screen, the human flag, buried but not torn apart completely. It still waved a little in the wind. "Maybe," she whispered. "They are not finished yet." In a dark room far beneath the Senate chamber, 2 figures watched the same broadcast. But their room had no laughter. "Sir, we intercepted a new signal this morning," one said. The other was older, dressed in deep green armor, with battle scars across his scaled face. "General Straven of the Kolar Legion, the one who led the last major attack on Earth." He leaned forward. "What kind of signal?" "Encrypted. Old human frequency." It repeated 4 times before vanishing. Straven narrowed his eyes. "From Earth? No, from beyond the Crichton Expanse." That got his attention. The Crichton Expanse was supposed to be uncharted, too far even for galactic trade. "Any trace of a ship?" "None, sir, but—" The signal pattern matched a Terran military beacon. Straven sat back in silence. He remembered the human defenses. They were messy, scattered, and filled with emotion. But they were also brave, desperate, and not all of them surrendered. Maybe, he thought, something had survived. Back in the halls above, the celebration continued. A large banner fell from the ceiling. "Never again. Human Defeat Day." Written in over 30 alien languages. A new clip played on the screen, this time showing an alien soldier planting their empire's flag on Earth soil. More laughter. "Such a pity they screamed so much," one ambassador joked. "So dramatic, those humans? They believed they were special," another said, chuckling. In that moment, a strange sound echoed through the chamber. Just a soft beep. Most ignored it, but Rylix noticed. The beep came again, from her small personal data pad. She lifted it slowly. A message flashed on the screen. "This isn't over." Her heart skipped. The signal had no source, no origin, no signature. And the initials EM? Could it be? Her fingers trembled as she tapped to trace it, but it vanished instantly. "Rylix?" Gino asked. "What's wrong?" She looked around. No one else had noticed. The celebration kept going. The mocking voices still filled the hall. But something inside her shifted. She stood up and walked out without another word. Above the Senate dome, the stars twinkled as always. Thousands of ships orbited the galactic capital. Most were from empires that had once fought humans and had now forgotten them. But far away, just beyond the Crichton expanse, a shadow moved in the dark. It made no sound. It left no trail. But it was coming, and it was huge. Its surface was black, absorbing all light. Its engines did not hum, they whispered. Its name was carved into its side in deep Terran script. TSS Vindicator, in the deep silence of the Crichton expanse, where stars burned faint and no known empire dared to travel. Something pulsed once, then vanished. A faint signal, small but sharp, like a heartbeat in the void. No one should have heard it, but someone did. On the far edge of the Kolar Empire, aboard the battleship Kravos, alarms began to blink. Unknown frequency detected, the technician said, tapping at his panel. General. Straven stepped onto the bridge. Human? The technician nodded slowly. It matches Terran military encryption, but it's over 100 years old. Source? The screen zoomed out, showing a massive map of space. A red dot blinked beyond the charted zones. The Crichton expanse. That's not Earth, the general muttered. No, sir. It's coming from outside known space. Straven stared at the dot for a long time. His jaw tightened. Plot a course. Back at the Galactic Senate, Rylak sat alone in her room, watching the replay of the message she received. But it was gone. Nothing had been stored. No trace. Still, the words burned in her mind. This isn't over. EM. She opened an old military database and typed those initials. Only one name came up. Elias Marek, Terran Supreme Commander. Presumed dead. Last seen on Earth's surface during the final assault. Dead men don't send messages, she whispered. But what if he wasn't dead? Aboard the alien cruiser Shandok, orbiting a quiet mining moon, a junior officer ran into the command room in panic. Captain, we've lost contact with Beacon 5 and 6. The captain frowned. Those are deep listening posts. They were monitoring the expanse. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The ship's systems flickered. A deep voice crackled. Through their comms, not in their language, but in human English. We heard your laughter. The voice paused. We're awake now. Then silence. The bridge crew looked around in horror. What was that? One whispered. The captain stood slowly. It was them. Far across the stars, a hidden fleet stirred. It had waited for years in the cold dark. Repairs had been made in secret. Ships were rebuilt using scavenged metal and stolen tech. The Terran fleet, forgotten by the galaxy, believed dead, was alive, and it was angry. On the bridge of the TSS Vindicator, Commander Elias Marek stood tall, older now, but still sharp. His uniform was dark gray. His eyes colder than space. He turned to his crew. Send the signal again. Yes, Commander. Let them know Earth remembers. A pulse of energy rippled outward. Back on the Kravos, the signal repeated. Still no source? General Straven asked. None, sir, but it's definitely Terran. Straven clenched his fists. How many ships did we lose when we thought we beat them? The officer hesitated. 38. Plus 5 dreadnoughts. Straven nodded. And we never found the Vindicator. No, sir. Straven stepped to the window, looking out at the stars. They're not dead. They were hiding. He turned to the crew. Alert the Senate. And prepare for war. In her quiet room, Rylak sat by her window, watching the stars. A strange feeling sat in her chest. It wasn't fear, that it was hope. If the humans were truly back, the galaxy would change again. She whispered the name she found earlier. Elias Marek. She didn't know why, but she smiled. Something was coming. And this time, humanity would not be mocked. Asterisk, the radar showed nothing. Then it blinked, for just 1 second. Something massive had passed by. But when they looked again, there was only empty space. Aboard the Zukari patrol ship Threxen, Officer Vale sat with his feet on the console, half asleep. Deep space patrols were usually boring. Nothing ever happened out here. Wake scans running, said the ship's AI. Nothing in range, Vale mumbled, stretching. But then dash blip dot a red dot appeared on the long-range scanner. Then vanished. Vale blinked and leaned forward. Repeat. Last scan, nothing. He rubbed his eyes. Maybe it was a glitch dot, then dash blip dot again. Bigger, closer. AI, confirm anomaly. Object detected. Dimensions. Classified. Unable to lock. Object, cloaked. Vale's blood turned cold. Cloaked. Since when do humans cloak ships? The AI didn't answer. It was still processing. Vale stood up, alert now. Send a coded alert to Central Command. Possible unknown vessel massive size. Before the signal could be sent, the ship's lights flickered. All systems dimmed. Then came the voice. You watched us burn. Now you'll watch us rise. At the Galactic Senate, alarms blared through the tower spires. Admirals from multiple empires sat in a closed emergency meeting. More anomalies? One barked. 7, another answered. All around the Crichton expanse. A hologram showed red dots blinking and vanishing, like ghosts on a map. No known ships are that big, said General Straven, standing at the front, and none of ours can disappear mid-scan. Someone whispered, Terran tech? Straven nodded slowly. They've evolved. Rylix sat on the edge of her bed, datapad in hand. She had tapped into secure Senate feeds. It was risky, but she had to know more. Her screen lit up with new reports. Patrol ships disappearing. Energy spikes from unknown engines. Human voice. Transmissions playing across hidden frequencies. Asterisk. She zoomed in on one report. Visual flash near asteroid belt. Object shape, sharp, long, black. No ID. Attached was a blurry image. Rylix gasped. It looked like a giant blade floating through space. In the dark of space. A massive ship moved like a ghost. The TSS Vindicator. It had no lights. No noise. But inside, every room was alive with purpose. Humans, pilots, engineers, gunners, medics all worked in silence. Their faces were serious. Focus. Commander Marek walked the bridge, watching the galaxy map. We let them laugh. He said softly, because we needed time. His second-in-command, Captain Rhodes, nodded. They think Earth is dead. Marek turned toward the viewport. Let's remind them what death taught us. Meanwhile, a squadron of alien fighters was sent to scan a strange heat signature near the edge of the expanse. Eyes open, said Commander Vel of the Seraph Guard. We're not alone out here. Their ships flew in tight formation. Sensors. Glowing. Then suddenly, all 5 fighter screens turned black. One by one. They blinked out of existence. No explosion. No signal. Just gone. Back at command, their last recorded footage showed a terrifying moment. Something massive passing above them, covering the stars. And then, darkness. Panic started to spread. Alien news stations reported ghost. Ships in deep space. Traders refused to travel. Miners abandoned posts. Civilian ships requested escorts. The galaxy had not feared humans for years. Now, their fear returned. Inside her private chamber, Relix got a new message. No sound. Just 3 words. Watch the stars. She looked out the window. At first, nothing. Then slowly. A single star disappeared. Then another. Not because they burned out, but because something black passed in front of them. A shape. A ship. A warning. The Terrans were not just back. They were already here. Asterisk on the capital world of Threxia. It began like any other day. But by noon, the sky vanished. No sun, no light, just darkness. The people of Threxia stepped outside, confused. The capital had 3 suns. At least one was always visible in the sky. But now, shadows stretched longer than they should. The air grew colder. Birds flew low, disoriented Dot, and then it happened. The sky turned black, not like night, not like clouds. Something was blocking the sun. Dot at the royal palace. Guards stared up, weapons in hand. Children cried. Even the airships hovering over the city shook. Is it an eclipse? One senator asked. No, whispered another. It's too fast, too big. The sky, once bright with golden light, was now completely black. And then, the stars started vanishing too. Dot, inside the high command tower, alarms blared. The screens showed a silhouette, a massive object in low orbit, directly above Threxia. Size, unknown. Origin, unknown. Heat signature, cold. Motion, stationary. 1. Words scrolled across the bottom of every screen. Unclassified. General Straven stormed into the control room. What ship is that? Not one of ours, a technician said. It came out of nowhere. Fire a warning shot, Straven ordered. Seconds later, a barrage of energy missiles fired upward. But as they neared the black shape in the sky, something strange happened. They disappeared, not exploded, not deflected. Dot, just dash gone. Dot, the room fell. Silent. Then a sound played. Deep, slow. A voice over every frequency. A human voice. Threxia mocked us first. Threxia will see us last. From her window in the Academy towers, Rylix stared at the dark sky. Her datapad buzzed with dozens of alerts, military lockdowns, fleet losses, mysterious disappearances. She whispered, It's them. It's really them. Gino, her friend, rushed into the room. Did you see it? What is that thing above us? Rylix showed him the pad. A Terran warship. They're not hiding anymore. Gino frowned. But Earth was destroyed. Rylix stood, her voice steady. No, Earth survived in silence. Now it's speaking. Above the capital, a massive black vessel slowly began to rotate. Its surface was smooth, no symbols, no light. Dot, until now. On its side, glowing letters began to appear, one by one, in bold Terran script. TSS Retribution. A single pulse of blue light spread from the ship, covering the city. No one was hurt, but every screen, every speaker, and every communication device went dark. Dot, then, one by one, the screens came back, and they all played the same thing. Earth. Dot, not the broken Earth they had mocked years ago, but a new Earth. Dot, rebuilt. Dot, stronger. Dot, a planet surrounded by new warships, new satellites, new hope. A voice echoed once more. You thought silence meant defeat. We were just remembering. General Straven clenched his fists. We should have destroyed the survivors when we had the chance. An officer nearby whispered, Sir, there are more signals. More Terran ships entering our systems. Straven turned to the screen. Dozens of red dots appeared. Then hundreds. The Terran fleet had arrived. Dot, in the deep dark of space. Aboard the TSS Vindicator, Commander Marek stood beside a long glass window, watching the black ship over Threxia. Let them fear, he said. Dot, Captain Rhodes asked. Do we strike? Marek shook his head. Not yet. Let them remember first. Let them feel what it's like to be powerless. On Threxia, panic spread. Cities powered down. Flights grounded. Armies scrambled. But it was too late. The Terrans weren't invading. They were watching. Dot, waiting. Dot, above them, all. Dot, like gods, in the dark. Dot, and in the silence. The people of Threxia began to ask a question they never thought they would again. What if the humans are stronger than us now? Asterisk. No one expected it to speak, but when it did, every planet heard. Every species stopped. And the warship above Threxia finally broke its silence. The Terran warship had floated above the capital for almost a full day now. It hadn't moved. It hadn't fired. It hadn't sent more signals. Just silence. And fear. The Galactic Council was frozen. Empires that once bragged about crushing humanity were now whispering in shadows. And then, without warning, every screen on every planet turned black. A voice clear, deep, human spoke across the galaxy. We are not here for war. We are here for memory. On a farming moon in the rival system, an old alien woman dropped her tools and stared up at the sky. On a military station orbiting Glaxer 9, soldiers froze in place, hands trembling. In a city under the seas of Varnock, even the whales stopped. Moving. The message continued. You burned our homes. You mocked our pain. You celebrated our silence. The voice grew colder now. Now you will witness what silence built. Inside the TSS Retribution, Commander Elias Marek stood tall in the ship's command bay. His face was calm. His voice, broadcast from this room, now echoed across thousands of systems. Beside him, Captain Rhodes nodded. They're listening. They need to, Marek said, before the real storm begins. At the Senate Tower on Threxia, panic turned to chaos. Some leaders begged for diplomacy. Others wanted to launch every missile they had. General Straven did neither. He just watched. He knew something most of the others forgot. Humans didn't bluff. If they said they remembered, it meant they'd prepared. He stood slowly. We must speak with them. In a quiet academy room, Rylix stared at the final part of the message now appearing on her pad. We come with names, not weapons. We remember who helped and who didn't. Those who showed mercy will receive it. Those who laughed will not. Gino stood behind her. They're dividing us. Rylix turned. No, they're reminding us. Somewhere in orbit, dozens of smaller Terran ships began to uncloak. They didn't attack. They dropped pods. Each pod opened. Not with soldiers, but with holographic recordings. Recordings from the last war. Footage of alien soldiers mocking humans as they fled. Laughing as cities burned. Executing prisoners. Destroying hospitals. Leaving children to starve. The footage played publicly in every major city. In every empire. Now, the mocking species were forced to watch their own cruelty through human eyes. And those who had never seen it before wept on a quiet world far from war. A little alien girl stood watching a holo-recording of a Terran woman shielding two alien children from falling debris. She turned to her father. Why did we hate them? The father had no answer. At the center of the Terran fleet, another ship appeared. Its name, TSS Memory. It broadcast a final message. We are not here for blood. We are here for justice. Then silence. Back on Threxia, something rare happened. For the first time in decades, the Senate lowered its flags. And for the first time in her life, Rylix saw fear in her teacher's eyes. But in her heart, she didn't feel fear. She felt something else. Respect, that maybe even hope. Because if humans had the power to destroy, they also had the power to forgive. But would they? At first, they thought the humans came to punish. But the next broadcast didn't show weapons. It showed mercy. Mercy the galaxy had forgotten. And now they realized they were too late to return it. On the capital world of Threxia, people crowded around every screen. No warships fired. No bombs dropped. No human demands came. Instead, a new broadcast began. It was quiet. It was slow. It was human. The first video showed an alien child scared, dirty, trapped under rubble. Then came a human soldier. He lifted the child gently, wrapped it in his jacket, and gave it water. The soldier had no weapon. Just bandages. As the video ended, 1 Line appeared on every screen. We saved even those who hated us. Another video followed. An alien hospital under attack. Human medics carried the injured inside, treated them. Even while being fired on. One nurse died shielding a non-human. Baby. The mother survived. She was now a senator on the Galactic Council. And she had said nothing. Until today. Senator Lyria stood before the cameras, trembling. I saw them save lives, she said. I saw a human die for my child. She paused, tears in her eyes, but I stayed silent while others mocked them. I am ashamed. Across the galaxy, thousands of aliens who had once been helped by humans began speaking up. They shared their stories. Old messages, photos, names, not of soldiers, but of teachers, healers, builders, friends. But it was too late, because the Terrans weren't listening to words. They were watching actions, and too many had already made their choice. In the war chamber of the TSS Vindicator, Commander Marek stood in front of a silent crew. Captain Rhodes whispered, "They're trying to show remorse now." Marek's voice was cold. "Now that our ships are here," Rhodes nodded. "What should we do?" Marek didn't answer immediately. He looked out the window. Below them, lights turned off in cities, not from fear, from shame. In a small desert village on Virok 7, an elder set fire to the Human Defeat Day banners. "Let them burn," he said. "We were wrong." His people watched, silently. Back at the academy, Rylix walked past a hallway where professors were removing mocking statues, ones that showed humans crawling, begging. Now they were being taken down, quietly, quickly. She entered her classroom. A message had been left on the desk screen. It was from a human child. It was a thank you letter. Written to an alien teacher who had once helped him during war. But that teacher never replied. Rylix read the letter aloud. Her voice cracked near the end. She looked up. No one spoke. And above it all, the Terran ships hovered, still silent, still waiting, and the galaxy asked itself, did we only remember their kindness now because we're afraid? In a hidden command bunker, General Straven watched the broadcasts. One after another, he saw soldiers he'd once called savages, now saving lives. He remembered faces he'd ordered wiped out, now being honored by their enemies. He poured glass of dark liquid, sat down, and sighed. We made them into monsters, he said. And now, they've come back as something greater. From orbit, the TSS Retribution sent its final message of the day. Mercy was given freely. Now it is earned. And as night fell across alien worlds, for the first time in generations, the galaxy didn't feel superior. It felt small. It felt guilty. And it feared not what humans would take, but what they would never give again. Asterisk, no blasts, no demands. Just silence. And in that silence, the galaxy began to tremble. Because everyone knew this was not peace. This was the moment before something much bigger. The Terran fleet didn't speak again. No more messages. No more recordings. No more warnings. They just waited. Their ships hovered above worlds that once laughed at their pain. Above empires that once danced on Earth's ashes. Now those same worlds turned their lights off and held their breath. In the central control tower of Threxia, a technician whispered to his superior, "Why aren't they moving?" The officer didn't answer. No one had answers anymore. Because when the most powerful fleet in the galaxy goes completely silent, you start to fear your own thoughts. In her academy chamber, Rylix sat by the window once again. But this time, the stars didn't comfort her. Half of them were gone, blocked by ships so large they looked like black holes in the sky. She opened her datapad. No new messages. No news updates. Just one blinking notification. Incoming transmission. Terran encryption. One-time access only. Her heart raced. She tapped the message open. A single video. No voice. Just an old clip. A ruined earth. Smoke. Fire. And then a child. Human. Crying in the rubble. Alone. Behind him. A giant Terran flag burned slowly in the wind. At the end of the video, 2 words appeared. We remember. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Senators shouted over one another. Send ambassadors. Offer gifts. Open our borders. Give them anything. But none of it mattered. Because deep down, everyone in that chamber already knew. The humans didn't come for gifts. They came to be seen. And now that they were seen, what would they do next? Aboard the TSS Vindicator, Commander Marek stood on the bridge in full silence. He watched the map of the galaxy displayed before him, stars blinking, systems trembling. Behind him, Captain Rhodes approached. They're begging for peace now. He said. Marek didn't respond. Rhodes waited. Then asked, will we attack? Marek finally turned. No, he said. Not yet. Rhodes looked confused. Why? Marek stared at the stars. Because silence is louder than war. Across alien worlds, statues were torn down. Streets renamed. Human history uploaded to schools. Apologies posted. But nothing from Earth responded. Because the Terran fleet wasn't here for words. It was here to remind the galaxy of one thing. You don't get to decide when a survivor forgives you. On one outer colony, a child asked her grandfather, why did we treat them like they didn't matter? The old man closed his eyes. Because we were afraid of what they might become. The child looked up at the sky. So what are they now? He took a breath. I think they're what comes after fear. And then, without a single blast, fired. A moment came that would be remembered forever. All the Terran ships across the galaxy moved at once. Not toward planets. Not toward stations. But away. Vanishing into the dark void, silent, swift, terrifying. Not defeated. Just ... Watching from somewhere else. And everyone knew they could come back. Anytime. In the deep black of space, on an invisible Terran ship, Commander Marek looked at Earth from afar. Rebuilt, beautiful, alive. He whispered, almost to himself, let them wonder. Let them prepare. And let them never forget. What happens when you mock the last species willing to show mercy? And so the war that never came. Left behind a galaxy forever changed, because the Terrans didn't return to fight. They returned to remind, and in that reminder, they won. The end. Asterisk.